Hi everyone, I am back with another video, and today's video is going to be a little different. Instead of looking at one website and reviewing it in depth, we're going to think a little more broadly about e-learning today and think about the teaching involved in e-learning or that instructional component. You'll see I put my email on the screen, and so if you ever have questions about e-learning or a website or you're having difficulty coming up with ideas, please by all means feel free to contact me. I am more than willing to chat with you and help you brainstorm. All right, so we are going to just talk about what I like to call the e-learning challenge. And I think the biggest challenge in e-learning is making sure that we are actually teaching and providing instruction and not only just giving assignments and activities. And I think in e-learning, it can be really easy just to assign activities or direct students to websites, which are all great things, but we have to make sure that we're providing instruction too, so that students know how to do what we are asking them to do. And especially because we are in e-learning right now for an extended period of time, that's really important. So if we just think a minute about your regular classroom. So in the classroom, students get instruction, and then there's time for some guided practice, some additional modeling, some scaffolding. And at that point, that is when they're given independent work, which can be an activity or an assignment. In e-learning, sometimes we forget those first two steps. We skip the instruction and we forget the practice, and we're going right to the independent work. We're assigning that assignment or directing to them to that activity on the internet. And it's very understandable that that happens because this is new for a lot of us, and we had not very much time to get this figured out. And so today I just kind of want to take a deep breath and maybe reflect a little bit on how we are providing instruction and teaching our students the skills they need to be able to do the activities that we are asking them to do. So a couple of things to think about just before we start. I just want us to remember that we want to avoid assigning activities just for the sake of assigning work. We want to be really intentional about what we assign in e-learning. And the easiest way to do that is envision your actual classroom. Pretend that you are still in your room and think about what would you be teaching and what would your objectives be. We want to be really clear and intentional about our objectives. And then once you know what your objectives are, that's when we can take those objectives and think about how we make them accessible in the e-learning format. So I'm going to just share with you a few ideas today. And some of them are going to be very basic, and some of them, for those of us that are a little more comfortable with technology, I'll point you in the direction of how you can use technology to provide instruction too. But we're just going to go through a couple of categories. This list is by no means an exhaustive list. My hope is that it just gets you thinking about ways that you can tweak your e-learning to make it a little more instructional and provide a little more teaching for our students during this time. And so one of the easiest ways that I think that we can give our students more instruction is just to make sure we're offering a lot of guidance and support to our students. So posting examples of work or models of what we're expecting them to do is really helpful. You can see I have a list of ideas there. If you've used anchor charts in your classroom, posting a picture of that anchor chart in your Google Classroom for students to refer to is a helpful support. If you're asking students that they have to write a complete paragraph or a complete sentence, provide an example of what a complete sentence or paragraph looks like. Even though you know you've taught this all year, this is a new time for all of us, so students might need to see that reminder. So post an example. If you're working with students and you're working on a unit in the seasons, post images and pictures of the seasons and give them that visual support. So that's a small way, just by providing some examples or some models, that you can provide some more instructional supports to students. I also have found some teaching websites and videos that are already made, good to go, that you can look for, preview, and then link and send your students. And you might have heard of some of these or be using these already, which is great, but I just wanted to draw your attention to some of them. The first one is Smeckens Education, and I'm actually going to pull them up right now. Here they are. Smeckens Education, what they have done is they have taken videos of actual teachers teaching different literacy lessons, and it's divided by grade levels. So you can see right here, they have a whole week's worth of lessons made on the topic of inferences, and you can see what each lesson's topic is right here. So this might be a great resource for you if you're looking for literacy lessons. You would just go to this website, smeckenseducation.com. You would sign up to receive the lessons, and then you would be able to access them. So I think that is a very helpful resource. Another resource is just the Khan Academy YouTube channel. You're probably already using this or have used this in your classroom already, but it's something else that can be used for e-learning. So let's say I need to provide some review for my students on adding fractions with the same denominators. I could put that up in my search bar. And then I am shown a variety of videos that can help teach that concept. And of course, just like in the regular classroom, we want to make sure that we preview all of our videos before sending them to students. Similarly, there is TeacherTube, another helpful website, and you can see how it's divided here by topics. So if I want to go to language arts, and let's say I want to write I'm doing a lesson on writing complete sentences. There is a video here called The High Five for Complete Sentences, and it provides a video and a visual of all the components needed for a complete sentence. So those are some great websites, I think, of resources that are already made and ready to go that you can use to add some instruction into your teaching. Now, there are some ways that you can record yourself giving actual instruction. So if you're more comfortable with technology and this sounds like something that you'd like to try, I'll just give you a couple ideas. The first resource is actually called Screencast-O-Matic. That's what I'm using right now, and that's what I've been using to make these videos. Screencast-O-Matic is free, and it gives you 15 minutes of recording time per video. And it basically just records your screen and it records your voice. So if you wanted to go through a PowerPoint with your class, you could do that and you could record it and then send them the link. That would be an option for you to do. So if you are interested in Screencast-O-Matic, I don't want to go too in depth with it, but it is, if you've used any kind of screen capturing before, or if you're fairly comfortable with technology, it really is pretty simple to learn, and I'd be happy to talk through it with you individually if you have questions on that. The other idea you could do if you wanted to provide yourself teaching your students is set up an empty Zoom or an empty Google Classroom for yourself. And then you could go in there and record yourself teaching a lesson. So you could go into a Zoom classroom, and right now they've lifted the time limit. So you can go in there by yourself, use your own materials, an anchor chart, a whiteboard, a book, whatever you want to use, record yourself teaching, and then either post that link or send it out to your students. So I just want to go over a few examples. I have 3 teaching ideas for the same lesson objective. So I want to show you how you can use some of these instructional components to teach the same objective. And some of them are very low technology and some are higher technology. So again, because the most important thing is to start with my lesson objective, I have that listed there. So the objective for each of these examples is for students to identify main idea and supporting details in a nonfiction text. So my first idea would be that I would assign students to one of the nonfiction texts on Tumblebooks, and that's one of the resources I showed you earlier. So I would have them first listen to that. And then in my classroom, or whatever I'm using for e-learning, I would post a completed graphic organizer that had the main idea and the details from that story already filled in. So students would have read the story and then have seen a completed graphic organizer finished. From there, I would assign them another story and then have the students complete the same graphic organizer on the new text. So before they're asked to do this on their own, they are able to see an example with guidance. So that's one way you could do that. A second idea would be you could have students read a text first, whether that be on their own, through a reading website, whatever. And then you could record yourself, maybe in a Zoom classroom or in a Google Classroom, identifying the main idea and details from this text and complete a graphic organizer. You could even do that through Screencast-O-Matic. You could make a PowerPoint slide of the main idea and details from that text. And then again, after students have seen that model, then they can go on and they can complete a graphic organizer with a similar text that you assign. And then a third idea, if you don't want to record yourself teaching main idea, or you don't have a good model, what you could do is you could find a video on one of the websites that I showed on main idea in details and have students watch that first and then assign students their text and then have them find the main ideas in details, similar to how it was modeled in the video that you assigned. So we have one objective there, and I came up with 3 different instructional ideas to teach and meet that objective. So as you can see, we don't have to make this too complicated. We want to start with our objective, and we want to think about ways that we can provide some instruction and some teaching, whether through modeling, through videos, through our own teaching, to help students review and learn the skills that we're doing through e-learning. And so just a couple final thoughts. Find something that works for you. This is a busy time. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming for us. It's overwhelming for our students and our families. So don't try to do everything. Don't try to use every website I show you in this series. Don't try to use every instructional tip that I gave you today. You want to find something that works for you. If using videos off Khan Academy is a helpful start for you, do that. If you'd rather post models, do that. The key is to find what works for you. And always remember to start with your lesson objectives, because that is going to drive your instruction, just like in the regular classroom. And I want to tell you that help is here. You are not on your own. I know right now it's really easy to feel isolated and there's so much being thrown at you. Please use me as a resource. I would love nothing more than to talk with you, to email with you about your e-learning and how we can work together to make it through this, because we will make it through this. And I just want to say, I know this is a lot. I know it is really hard to work from home, to do something new working from home, and you probably have a lot of other responsibilities too. Some of you, or a lot of you, may have kids doing their own e-learning at home. I get that. You can see on the screen that is my almost 4-year-old daughter, and as I was trying to work from home today, she put makeup on herself. That's washable marker, thank goodness. But I get the struggle right now of balancing everything. So please don't feel that you're on your own. We are all in this together, and I want to be able to help you. I hope you found this video helpful, and I will be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks for watching.